Hello and welcome back to the House of Brand Transformation here in Cannes, where I'm joined now by Jolyon White and George White, who are brothers and co-founders of the fantastic 10 Days agency. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Now, one topic that you guys are very much on the ball with is AI and sort of its relationship with creativity. So perhaps you could tell me a little bit about the impact it's having on the creative world right now.
Do you want to take that one?
Great question, Jack. I'm glad that we were pre-prepared for these questions along the way and everything like that. So I think AI is impacting in two different ways. So in the first way, it is creating a huge regression into mediocre. So everyone is going from the same source and finding that they're creating stuff that isn't really going to stand out in the market and be distinctive. Then you have the outliers who are looking at AI and going, how can this be used in a way that can supercharge what you're doing and be able to stretch the imagination? And there's one thing that AI is excellent at doing, is going off in tangents. Whether it makes sense or not is another matter, but to be able to kind of harness that and bring to life ideas that may not actually be physically possible to do because of budgets, etc., in a way that can actually become and be brought to life is super exciting. So for us, we see that as a great opportunity.
Yeah, it's an amplification tool, and I think we obviously we sort of talk about how it could come and replace everything and stuff like that, and there is that sort of tension in the thing. But the truth is, it's just a fantastic tool if you use it right.
No, that sounds absolutely spot on. And one thing that you talked about in your talk earlier today is CMOs and their relationship with AI. Is it the case that they're really sort of, going to replace human beings with AI, or is that just scaremongering?
So I think it depends on who is leading the company. I think if you have private equity leading a company, everyone is looking towards how can we make efficiencies. And so many CMOs we're talking to are saying, I have a mandate which is to show how we're using AI. The question that we always put back to them is how are you using AI in a way that actually is going to grow your business rather than doing it for the sake of doing it? I think then when you come to larger companies where AI is a new thing, it's helping them to understand how it can best benefit them. And then you have startups, so almost a bit like when we were digitally native or not native, growing up on YouTube and all that background. This is going and saying, almost tempering them of where they should use AI and where they shouldn't use AI. So you've got the extremes of people who are being forced to use AI, you've got people who don't understand how to use AI and want to be helped to use AI, and then how to control the use of AI so that you don't fall back into that vanilla mediocre world that we're talking about, and to understand when is the best use to do it, particularly in a world where it can be rejected.
And what do you think humans still add to the creative process? It's such a silly question in some ways, because it was always human beings who were the creatives at the forefront of the process of design and branding and so forth. But obviously with AI coming into the mix, how do you know what is the right mix of human beings and machines?
So I have quite a strong view on this. I think that AI in that scenario is the ultimate tool to get the vomit out, to get this sort of that stuff that is the 7 out of 10, or the kind of stuff that is kind of the most obvious and sometimes the most logical answer to a situation, a brief, a scenario. And I think what allows us to is that 30% is where the magic happens, is where you can really find the unhinged, the weird, the wonderful things. I just love the fact we can get there quicker. And our creative team, we're now in a position where we expect them to get there quicker, and I love that. I love the fact that is now the process. It's I don't need to worry about spending a few days just getting to grips with the sort of dissecting the brief. That's done now. Let's get to the fun part. So from a creative point of view, I think that's fantastic.
But it does have limitations as well, though. At the same time, you were talking about taste and humor, right?
100%, and I think that's the bit. It's actually the rejection of the AI in those moments of going, there's no taste there, there's lack of humor, that actually opens up that window of opportunity.
And I think that's spot on. It's a very interesting topic. And just finally, to wrap things up, how optimistic do you feel for the future of design and creativity in general now that we are in this AI era and there's no getting out of it?
I think that we are in a situation, again, like a situation here where we are kind of flooding the market with kind of average ideas, and I think because of the nature of AI, as George was saying here, it's like it does lack the nuance, it does lack the humour, it does lack the taste, and what I think we get to a position where we're going to revolt against that by there'll be a starvation. We talked about starvation before, but like a starvation of really different, unique ideas, because we're all following a similar path of it's going to give us this ideas, and we've seen it. We see it when we get a brief and we say here's some thought stuff. We see that that's the first thing that the client has done is put that into Claude or ChatGPT, and then you can see what they've done, and you can see the prompt that they put in very easily. It's almost transparent in that nature. So I think we're going to get to a point where we hit a sort of ceiling where all these ideas are flooding the market that are okay. And then from that point onwards, I think we're going to start to see, hopefully, and I think it's coming out now, more interesting, more creative ideas, because those, we'll have to survive, we have to stand out, and I think that's exciting.
I think you will see the value of originality that will come much more strongly through, and you see that now in terms of from a creator standpoint, where people are now creating films which are very good. There's some excellent filmic work where we've gone through this period of TikTok culture where everything needs to be authentic, it doesn't look great, and now we're moving back into a world where filmic is coming back around again. You're going to see the same thing that's going to happen with AI. So AI is going to be used in a way where it floods the market, becomes the trend, and then the anti-trend will start happening, that starvation part that Jane is talking about, where something grows in one way means you starve the other way. And that will be, people will look to that as a way of a tonic, if you will, that is going to help them see the world differently. Because as humans, we will always crave to be able to see something in a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Well, it is such a fascinating topic, and it's going to be so interesting to see where it takes us next and takes you guys next. So Jolyon, George, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We're going to get lashed to the beach now.